that haunts every physicist. It happens late at night. Usually you're sitting with your equations, your coffee's gone cold, and suddenly you realize you've been asking the wrong question your entire career. I've had that moment. You've probably had it too in your own way. Maybe you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. and suddenly you think, what am I actually doing with my life? What does any of this mean? We all chase answers. We go to school, read books, watch videos like this one, hoping someone will hand us the truth wrapped in a nice bow. We want the universe to make sense. We want someone smarter than us to say, here's how it all works, now you can sleep. But you see, the universe is a very strict teacher. It doesn't give you the answer key. It doesn't even tell you if you're asking the right questions. And the man who understood this better than anyone, the man who spent his whole life dancing with uncertainty, he gave one final lecture before he died. And what he said in that lecture, it shook physics to its core. It challenged everything we thought we knew about knowledge itself. But most people have never heard it. Richard Feynman's last lecture wasn't about quantum mechanics. It wasn't about particle physics or electromagnetic theory. It was about something far more dangerous. It was about how we fool ourselves. And I don't mean that in some poetic way. I mean that Feynman stood in front of a room full of brilliant scientists and essentially told them most of what you think you know, you don't actually know. You've just convinced yourself that you do, and that's self-deception. It's the most dangerous force in science. He wasn't being modest, he wasn't being polite. He was giving a warning because Feynman had seen what happens when smart people stop questioning themselves. He'd seen it at Los Alamos. He'd seen it in the Challenger disaster investigation. He'd seen it in university departments filled with professors who'd stopped being curious decades ago. And his message was harsh. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. That line changed physics, and if you truly understand what he meant, it might change you too. And before you think this is just some feel-good advice about staying humble, let me tell you why Feynman was genuinely frightened when he said this. Because he wasn't talking about other people's mistakes. He was talking about a basic flaw in the human brain itself. A flaw that you carry with you right now, reading these words, believing you're immune to it. You're not immune, neither am I. And the moment you think you are, that's when it gets you. Let's strip away the mythology for a moment. Let's look at what Feynman actually said in his final years. Pieced together from his last lectures, his writings, and his famous Caltech commencement speech. He said that science isn't about being right. It's about being less wrong than you were yesterday. That sounds simple, but think about what that actually means for a moment. It means that every scientific theory you've ever learned, every equation, every law of physics is temporary, provisional, a stand-in until something better comes along. Newton's gravity worked beautifully for 200 years. Then Einstein showed it was incomplete. Einstein's relativity has worked for 100 years. And Feynman, he suspected it too was incomplete. Here's the part that gets uncomfortable. If the greatest theories in history were eventually proven to be approximations at best, wrong at worst, what makes you think the things you believe right now are any different? Not just in science, in everything. Your political opinions, your understanding of relationships, your beliefs about yourself. Feynman was pointing at something deeply unsettling about the human condition. We are pattern-matching machines, living in a universe that doesn't actually owe us patterns. Now here's where Feynman got specific. He introduced a concept that still makes scientists uncomfortable today. Cargo cult science. Let me explain this with a story he told. During World War II, American troops set up bases on Pacific islands. They brought radios, airplanes, food, medicine, amazing technology the indigenous people had never seen. When the war ended, the troops left, and some of the islanders, desperate to bring back the cargo planes and the prosperity they'd witnessed, started building imitation runways. They carved headphones out of wood. They built control towers from bamboo. They waved landing signals made of sticks. From the outside, it looked exactly like an airport. They had the form, they had the rituals, but no planes ever came. Feynman said, most of what passes for science today is cargo cult science. It has the appearance of rigor. It uses the language. It publishes in journals. It holds conferences. But it's missing the one essential ingredient that makes science actually work. And what is that ingredient? Complete, harsh, painful honesty about what you don't know. Real scientists, Feynman argued, don't just report their successes. They report every way they might be wrong, every flaw in their methodology, every alternative explanation they couldn't rule out. They actively try to destroy their own theories. But most scientists don't do this. Most people don't do this. We build our bamboo runways, we perform our rituals, and we wonder why the planes never come. Let's go deeper. Why are we so bad at being honest with ourselves? Feynman had a theory about this too, and it connects to something deep about how our brains work. Think about the last argument you had. Really think about it. At any point during that argument, did you genuinely consider the possibility that you were completely wrong? That the other person saw something you couldn't see? That your certainty was actually proof of your blindness, not your clarity? Probably not. And here's the terrifying part. Your brain is designed this way. Evolution built you to win arguments, not to find truth. It built you to defend your tribe, protect your ego, and maintain your status in the social hierarchy. None of those goals require you to be right. They just require you to feel right. Feynman understood this. He said, "The human brain is the most sophisticated self-deception engine ever created. We don't lie to ourselves occasionally, we lie to ourselves constantly. Every memory you have has been edited. Every belief you hold has been filtered through your biases. Every certainty you feel is probably hiding a doubt you're not willing to face. And the smarter you are, the worse it gets. Because intelligent people are better at constructing convincing arguments for positions they arrived at for emotional reasons." Let me say that again because it's important. Intelligence doesn't protect you from self-deception. It makes you better at it. This is the part that keeps me up at night. Not black holes, not quantum weirdness, not the heat death of the universe. It's this. Every day I make decisions based on beliefs I've never questioned. And I have no reliable way to tell which beliefs are cargo cult bamboo and which ones are real. And neither do you. Feynman was the greatest teacher of the 20th century, and his final message wasn't, "Here's how the universe works." His final message was, "Be terrified of your own certainty. It's probably lying to you." But it gets worse, because Feynman didn't stop at personal self-deception. He pointed out that entire societies can fool themselves, entire scientific fields, entire eras of human history. Think about all the things humanity was absolutely certain about that turned out to be completely wrong. The Earth is the center of the universe. Diseases caused by bad smells. Bloodletting cures illness. Some races are naturally inferior. Homosexuality is a mental disorder. These weren't fringe beliefs. They were mainstream consensus. The smartest people of their time believed them. They taught them in universities. They wrote books about them. They looked at doubters with the same condescending pity you might feel right now, thinking, "Well, we know better now." Do we? Do we really? What if I told you that some of the things you believe right now with complete certainty will seem just as absurd to people 200 years from now? What if your grandchildren will look back at your generation the way you look back at people who thought the earth was flat? The uncomfortable truth is you can't know which beliefs those are. If you could, you wouldn't believe them. That's the trap. And here's where Feynman delivered his most radical idea. He said that doubt itself is not weakness. Doubt is the only path to truth. Think about that. We're taught from childhood that confidence is good, that knowing what you believe is strength, that changing your mind is flip-flopping, that admitting ignorance is shameful. Feynman said this is exactly backwards. He said the people who are most certain are usually the most wrong. The people who hold their beliefs loosely, who actively look for evidence against their positions, who say, "I don't know" without shame, those are the people who actually make progress. He pointed to the history of physics itself. Every breakthrough came from someone who was willing to say, "What if everything we think we know about this is wrong?" Newton did it. Einstein did it. Feynman did it with quantum electrodynamics. The scientists who clung to their certainty, they're footnotes now. Their names are only remembered as examples of what not to do. And this leads to an even stranger question, one that Feynman danced around but never quite answered directly. Maybe he couldn't. If we can never be certain, if doubt is the only honest position, if our brains are constantly fooling us, how do we live? Think about it. You wake up tomorrow, you make decisions, you choose what to eat, what to work on, who to spend time with, what to believe. You act as if you know what's good for you. You act as if your goals matter. You act as if your understanding of reality is at least roughly accurate. But Feynman just told you that everything you believe is probably contaminated with self-deception, that your certainties are probably illusions, that you're wandering through life with a map drawn by a brain that evolved to survive, not to see clearly. So what do you do with that information? Some people hear this and fall into nihilism. Nothing can be known, so nothing matters. But Feynman wasn't a nihilist, far from it. He played bongos. He picked locks for fun. He went to strip clubs to do physics calculations. He extracted deep joy from existence despite or maybe because of his radical uncertainty. How do you dance when you know the floor might not be solid? And here's where Feynman's final message becomes something beautiful instead of something terrifying. He said that uncertainty isn't a prison, it's a door. Think about it this way. If you already knew everything, what would be the point of waking up tomorrow? If all your questions were answered, if all mysteries were solved, if you had nothing left to learn, wouldn't that be a kind of death? Wouldn't that be boring beyond imagination? Feynman said that the joy of science, the joy of living, comes from the questions, not the answers. It comes from the pursuit, not the capture. Every time you say, "I don't know," you're not admitting defeat. You're opening a door to discovery. He looked at the universe with all its terrifying vastness, all its indifference to human existence, all its mysteries that might never be solved, and he saw wonder. He saw an endless playground for curiosity. He saw a gift. And here's what he said about doubt. I can live with doubt and uncertainty and not knowing. I think it's much more interesting to live not knowing than to have answers that might be wrong. Read that again. He wasn't settling for uncertainty. He preferred it because the alternative, false certainty, is a kind of mental death. It's the end of curiosity. It's the moment you stop growing. But personally, if you ask me if I could trade my doubt for certainty, even if that certainty were true, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trade the questions for answers because the questions are where the life is. Every morning I wake up not knowing something I'll know by evening. That's a good day. Every conversation that changes my mind, that's a gift. Every time I realize I was wrong about something I was sure about, that's growth. I would rather have questions I can't answer than answers I can't question. Feynman taught me that. And it's one of the few things I'm willing to say with something like certainty. The universe doesn't owe us answers. It doesn't owe us comfort or meaning or closure. But it gives us something better. It gives us the endless, beautiful, terrifying adventure of trying to understand. And every moment you spend genuinely asking, genuinely doubting, genuinely open to being wrong, that's a moment you're fully alive. That's a moment the cargo cult has no power over you. That's a moment you're doing what Feynman spent his whole life trying to teach us. Now, if you enjoyed this, if you like sitting with uncomfortable questions and coming out the other side with something like wonder, then you might want to stick around, because we're going to keep asking the hard questions here. Questions about time, about consciousness, about whether mathematics is discovered or invented, about what it means that you exist at all in a universe that didn't have to include you. So, hit that subscribe button. It's the only button I recommend pressing with any confidence. Don't press the "I already know everything" button. That one's broken. Always has been. And here's a question for next time. What if the laws of physics aren't actually laws at all? What if they're more like habits? Habits that could change? Think about that, and I'll see you in the